Hey y'all, I hope you're doing well. So today I'm going to show you how to make crochet fingerless gloves using a chunky yarn. Now this is for my beginners, but anyone can follow along with this tutorial, but I'm going to try to make it easy enough for my beginners. You're going to use an 8mm crochet hook and a sewing needle or yarn needle. And again, I used the Bernat Soft and Chunky yarn. I think it's Softy Chunky yarn. Okay, and that's a bulk of 6. So you want to start by making yourself a slip knot and placing that on your crochet hook. Okay, follow along here on the screen if you do not know how to make a slip knot, and then again put that on your crochet hook. And we're going to start by making ourselves a foundation chain in a foundation chain of 20. Okay, now I use 20 stitches because that's going to fit around the widest part of my wrist that I want, where I want the crochet glove to fit. So if you need to make it smaller, just make a smaller foundation chain. If you need it to be larger, make a larger foundation chain. Okay, so we are going to be doing a chain of 20, and we're going to be creating the beginning part of these fingerless gloves with the herringbone stitch. Okay, once you have your chain of 20, yarn over into the second stitch from the hook. You're going to insert your crochet hook. It should look like this. Pull through. You'll have 3 loops on your crochet hook. All right, and at this point you're going to pull through that first loop. That leaves 2 loops on your crochet hook. Yarn over, pull through the top loop. You'll have 2 more loops. Then yarn over and pull through the bottom 2. Now I'm going to show you how to do the herringbone stitch a few times. If you're not comfortable with this stitch, you can always do a double crochet stitch and it will look fine too, okay? Into the next stitch, insert your crochet hook after you've yarned over. It should look like this. You'll now have 3 loops on your crochet hook. Go ahead and pull back through that top loop. Do not yarn over at this point, guys. Perfect. Now yarn over again, pull through the loop, and then yarn over and pull through the last 2 loops. Okay. What this is doing is it's creating a tilt in your stitch, so it looks like a really pretty herringbone pattern. Okay. And I'm going to show you how to do this stitch a few times. If you already know how to do the herringbone stitch, then continue working that all the way across the row until you get to the end of the foundation chain. Okay. Again, yarn over, insert your crochet hook, pull through a loop, pull through, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, and pull through 2. Okay, I hope that didn't go too fast. I do have a video tutorial on my channel that goes slower if you don't catch on here, but this is called the herringbone stitch. And but again, if this gets too confusing for you, you can always do a double crochet stitch, and then you'll still have the beginning pattern for your gloves. Okay, so you see here, you're going to naturally want to complete a double crochet stitch or a half double crochet stitch, but don't try to resist doing that. And as you work this, you'll get used to it. Okay, you'll get used to it. Yarn over, pull through the bottom 2. Okay, now this is again a chain of 20 that we're going to be working, so don't get confused by my little swatch here. I wanted to just make sure you understood how to do the herringbone stitch, so I'm showing you that here. But make sure you do a complete chain of 20 for the a regular my wrist. I would say I'm a medium large frame woman, so that, and it fits me just fine. So a chain of 20. Okay, and that's what it should look like, and just continue working until you get to the end of your foundation chain. Okay, and I show you this a few times because when you complete your fingerless gloves, you're going to do this until you have a total of 11 rows completed. Okay, and that's about 7 inches in height. Okay, and just keep on working. And I show you this a few times because I think once you get this, then you'll pretty much have the crux of your glove. So again, you'll have a larger chain. Once you get to the end of the row, you're going to chain 2, and that is going to count as your first stitch. Yarn over and into the next available stitch, you're going to do another herringbone, okay? So remember that chain of 2 in this case is going to count as your first stitch of your next row. And at this point, you should be getting a little bit comfortable with doing the herringbone. You'll still slip up every now and then, wanting to do a double crochet or a half double crochet, but just kind of remember that you're not doing that so that you'll have that look that I'm trying to get you to create. All right, so just continue working here. When you get to the end, and in my case, what I did is instead of me doing a herringbone stitch, I did a double crochet stitch. So at the end of the row, so that it kind of matches up with that chain of 2, I just do a straight double crochet stitch. So I do kind of like a double crochet stitch at the beginning, which is the chain of 2, and then I do a double crochet stitch at the end of the row, which is to kind of mirror it up and make everything look flush. Okay, so this is what you should have once you complete your full 12 rows, about 7 inches. Okay, so I lost the footage where I folded this in half, but basically you're just going to fold this in half and you're going to sew along the raw edge till you get like a little like a sleeve. So you're making like a sleeve for your wrist area. And then don't mind if it doesn't look exactly even when you sew it. It's all gonna look fine in the end. Chunky yarn is always forgiving, which is why I like using it when I'm working a beginner project. So this is what it kind of looks like here, and I love this herringbone stitch. It's hard to work. I don't think you can work a herringbone in a round, so this is why this is very unique and also very beginner friendly. Okay, so at this point, because you have it now cuffed off into a circle, we are going to work into a round, but it's so much easier now because you can really see all of your stitches. Okay, so chain 2, and then at this point, we're just going to do double crochet stitches all the way around. Okay, and we're going to do 2 rounds of double crochet stitches. So you see what I'm doing there? I chained 2, and now I'm just working a double crochet stitch in every stitch around. Just keep working, okay guys? All right, you should have about, once you get to 2 stitches left, that's where we're going to create our thumb space. So just keep working until you get to your 18th stitch. All right, and now what you're going to do is a chain of 2. Skipping over those 2 stitches, you're going to join into the slip stitch to join your rounds, and that's going to create your hole. So I hope that was clear there. It might have went fast. You're going to stop at your 18th stitch, do a chain of 2. You're going to skip over the 19th and 20th stitch, and then into that very first chain of 2, you're going to slip stitch in to join the round. Okay, chain 2, and then again all the way around you're going to do a double crochet stitch. So you've finished all of your herringbone stitches. You have done a round of double crochet stitches, and now you're going to do another round of double crochet stitches. This works up really quickly, guys. And you see there, that's where your hole is going to be. If you find that your thumb hole needs to be larger, then stop at your 17th stitch. If it needs to be smaller, stop at your 19th stitch, okay? Right over top of the hole, we're going to do 2 double crochet stitches so that everything just looks flush. Okay, so when I say go around your second row of double crochet stitches, you're going to go around over the chain of the chain 2 that we created in the previous round. Okay, and I think you can see it better than I just explained it, but you see how I just kind of worked right over that. Okay, so this is pretty much the way the crocheted gloves look. But if you ever look at your hand, you'll see that it goes kind of in. So we're going to do a round of half double crochet stitches and we're going to skip some stitches. So we're going to do a decrease. So follow along with me here. Do a chain of 2 and then we're going to do half double crochet stitches. So half double crochet is just yarning over, inserting the crochet hook, yarning over, pulling through all 3. Okay, we're going to do half double crochet stitches all the way around, but we're going to do a decrease. So when I do a decrease for this project, I'm going to skip a stitch. Now this is the simplest way to do a decrease, especially for my beginners. So you're going to skip a stitch and do a half double crochet stitch in the next available space. Okay, and we're going to do that 3 times in any random fashion. So there's no rhyme or reason to how I'm skipping the stitch. I'm just decreasing my round, okay? Alrighty, so just continue doing half double crochet stitches and then 3 times in this round, skip a stitch, okay? So I did probably like 4 stitches, skipped a stitch, 4 stitches, skipped a stitch, like that, okay? So here I am, and I put it on the screen here so you can see where I skipped my stitch. So that is going to create a decrease, and because we're using a chunky yarn and this is a beginner friendly project, this is one of the easiest ways to decrease your rounds. Okay. When you get back over to your initial chain of 2, you're just going to slip stitch and join, and basically that's just inserting the crochet hook, pulling through your loop twice, and then that's that. So you can see how it kind of goes now a little bit more narrower, which creates that snugness around your finger area. See how that looks? Yay! Completely beginner friendly. So that's what we're looking like here. Now if you need it to be a little bit tighter for any reason, go ahead and just slip stitch around one more time. Slip stitching again is just inserting your crochet hook, pulling through a loop and pulling through the other loop. So it's not a single crochet stitch, it's a slip stitch, and that kind of pulls it together even more. And this is an optional round. I did it because I wanted it to be a little bit snugger around my fingers, but again, completely optional, but it also makes it looks a little bit more finished to me as well. All right, guys, so pretty much that's how you do your fingerless gloves. I did add a button on one of mine and a loop on the other so that I can keep them together, but that's completely optional as well, and I don't even really go into detail how I do it. I just sewed a button to the one of the fingerless gloves, and then I created like a little loop with some yarn on the other one, and that just kind of keeps everything together. Once you finish, just finish off your yarn. You're going to weave in any loose ends, and that's how it looks there. So again, you can always customize this based on where you want this to fall on your wrist. If you wanted it to be shorter, just make the rows shorter. Don't go all the way to 15 rows, but it's all customizable. And here's the little loop that I showed you earlier. Just keeps everything nice and together. Okay, so that's it, guys. If you have any questions, please leave them down in the comment section below. Please share the video if you think it'll be helpful to anybody else, and subscribe if you haven't already done so. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.